It says we are live.
Yep, sure does.
I haven't got the thing yet. Hopefully it'll kick over.
There it is. Bang.
Yep, there
Howdy,
it is.
everybody.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Gun Nation. All right, Logan said we could start, so we decided to go ahead and start. All right. Yeah, we got a pretty good group. We'll 7 coming on, so we'll good evening, everyone. Pistol Pete said we could go. All right. Al Osborne, Sandpaper, Captain Shark. Yep.
Knuckles and Randy.
Yeah. And we got music. And Logan, we're on early.
Hey, Big Daddy, hopefully you got my response. So that was a great question, by the way. So hopefully that helped. If not, pose the question again here tonight because it was a very good question. Two fantastic firearms. So some other people might have different perspectives on that. So, don't be shy.
Yeah, we got Tundra, we got Frank, we got Nolan, got all the party people. Yeah, 1776 is on assignment. So
He has a
he
lot
is,
of assignments.
yeah, he has a lot of assignments. We send him on these special assignments. Got Paul.
Parts by Teddy.
Yeah. All right. So we've got a good crowd coming in. And we always appreciate y'all being on. And if y'all haven't subscribed to each other in the chat, please do. Got some great subs on here, great channels. We appreciate y'all being on so much. Firearms 101. All right, Mr. KS, let's go ahead and jump into it. I've been asked, you've been asked, we've both been asked. What is our opinion on the YouTube situation at their facility? We'll say situation.
The situation. I don't mean to laugh. Obviously, anytime there's any sort of a violent situation that happens anywhere, it's not good. But there's a subtle bit of irony in there as well, and of course, we'll probably touch on that a little bit. But obviously, we've learned a little bit more about the situation, and we're not going to talk about this for very long because I don't think Big Johnson or I really want to try and hypothesize what's going on or anything like that. But it seems to me that this individual, this young lady, had a bit of a beef with YouTube because she felt like they were not justly paying her or getting her videos to the top of the charts and that sort of thing. And obviously, some that can resonate a little bit with some of us too. To one degree or another, we might take it a different direction than what she did, obviously. But the thing that sticks out with me, and we've seen this a couple of times this year, where law enforcement actually had some notification prior to the situation happening, and that's where I think we need to shore up our policies, man. If there is somebody out there and law enforcement gets some alerts that, hey, this person's got a problem or this person may do something, I think we need to jump on that a little bit faster because obviously we've seen a couple of times where that's backfired. Nobody's done anything about it, and a tragedy to one degree or another has happened.
Yeah, I mean, anytime there's something like this that happens, I don't care where it is, gun-free zone, non-gun-free zone. I mean, it's definitely a bad situation. I for someone to be disgruntled about their channel and take it to that extreme, that's pretty sad. However, and this is what we've all been talking about, gun-free zones, it seems like every one of these situations that happens are gun-free zones. If she would have been walking up with a firearm, pointing it, I mean, someone could have stood up and did due diligence to take her out and to stop that threat. I mean, I'm all for, people being able to protect themselves everywhere, especially in an outdoor situation like our event they were at, to just allow someone just to walk up and they say that they want open areas and stuff like this. But, the wolves come to the hen house. That's just what happens. So, right. And I mean, our thoughts and prayers do go out to people that were injured. You know, this is just a crazy person with a tool. That's basically what it is. You know, and I guess she got what she was coming for. So either by herself, and I still haven't, you know, I heard that there were armed guards there. Then I heard that there weren't. Then I heard that she did it herself. So I don't know what happened there. So I don't know what the final outcome is going to be, or already is. I haven't heard. So.
Well, I think that if there's going to be any fallout from this, and obviously this we don't know for sure, but we've already seen YouTube start to identify gun channels in terms of policy. I mean, that none of us can deny.
Yeah.
But obviously the question becomes: is this going to impact us even further? And you know, the people who are betting people would say, yeah, it probably will. We obviously don't know yet, but this certainly opens the door. It absolutely opens the door for YouTube to say, screw it. This is over and done with. We're not going to have any part of this anymore, and that is a very real possibility.
Yeah, but you know, what if someone came up there with some crochet needles and stabbed someone? Would they end all crochet channels? I mean, come on. You know, it's not the tool, as we've talked about. It's the person behind it. And obviously, she was off her rocker and off her meds apparently, and you know, this is what happened. But you know, it's ridiculous that it happened. But out of all places, at all times, it had to be this. I mean, so who knows what's going to happen? You know, and since we're leading into this, you know, I have set myself, and it has been fixed. You know, Josh at the gun tube was very diligent in helping me out to get this handled, but I am on the gun tube. And what the problem was, it was Big Johnson guns and then the symbol and gear. And apparently their area can't, or their, you know, whatever they're set up on can't handle a symbol. So he was like, oh, you got to delete your channel and do all this other stuff. And I was like, can't you just change the symbol to AND? So he was, you know, they were able to do that. So now it's Big Johnson guns and AND gear. And so I was able to set everything up on there, and I'm starting to kind of download some videos over there. But I'm not going to pull everything I've got over here over to there. You know, I'm not going to do that. So, but I'm on that. You know, what about you? What do you got going?
I'm on currently, and
Okay.
that's where I'm going to stay for the time being. I have no other plans at this point in time. I'm going to kind of see what happens. CWE had a comment just a little while ago. CW Hunter said also the frustration that the left or media outlets like CNN will not likely discuss this shooting because it doesn't fit their narrative so much. It's a handgun, it's a woman, PETA member, that sort of thing. And CW, there's definitely some good points. I mean, we've seen some media coverage on this, but I have a feeling that it probably won't be highlighted quite as much as some other things out there. I think that could very well be true. But unfortunately, it wasn't one of those situations where a good guy with a gun, you know, kind of stepped in, because we know those happen as well, and those never get covered by the media, unfortunately. So we don't have enough backing to show people that are uneducated about firearms what the good part of firearms ownership really means.
Yeah, and you know, when this first kicked off, you know, I was kind of watching it live, and some other people, and if you were, please chime in. But there was a reporter, and he was talking to the Spanish guy with gray hair, with his hair slicked back, and he's like, I saw the whole thing. You know, they came out, started shooting, guns were blazing, there was like 20 shots, just bang, bang, bang. Everything was going crazy, you know, blood everywhere. And he goes, I got it all on my phone. And the guy goes, well, can we see your phone? And he goes, well, it's dead. And I'm like, I said, this guy just seems like he's off his rocker, like he's just wanting to be, you know, his 10 minutes of fame. And sure enough, that's nothing that happened. This guy's just blowing everything out of proportion. I was like, oh, he must be from the fake news. You know, I mean, it was just somebody trying to find their spotlight. And, you know, it's sad that people are even like that. But
yeah,
I don't know that he wasn't legit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Kevin's Roberts is saying, and she was vegan. Vegans don't kill anything, you know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we need to stop the gun-free zones, period, end of sentence. If I had a mic, I would drop it. But, you know. Let's see here. Did we miss any comments? I don't want to miss anybody's comments.
Captain Shark said, so how many people at YouTube headquarters frantically tried to look up active shooter defense videos and found none left? Again, a little bit of subtle irony in there, and I hate to laugh at that, but Captain Shark, I appreciate that comment. And there is a little bit of truth there for sure.
Yeah, in all seriousness, is saying, what if they had Big Johnson there with his 230 grains of PETA hate waiting for her?
Right.
Yeah, I don't hate PETA. Don't start any of that. But yeah, it's just, all it would have taken was a good guy with a gun. And, hopefully, especially a trained person that knew their firearm. But that's what's happening. So let's see here. All right, let's talk about some guns. Let's talk about some other gear and stuff. And of course, if y'all have any questions, please throw them out there, and we're going to try to answer everything that we can. Is there anything now? I know we've both talked about this, and of course, even with 17, that there just really hasn't been anything out there just really tickling us, to run out and buy. But has anything else perked up here recently, or anything that's got you excited?
No, nothing. I was actually at Center Fire tonight because I picked up the X5. It was back from the mothership.
Cool.
And yeah, I was glad to have that back. But there, just I've wandered around Center Fire and Frontier Justice and joked with all the guys, and there really isn't anything. I mean, Jim Gregory's asking CZ Rammy or P320 X carry for carry. Now, I actually lean towards the P320 X carry. I mean, I really prefer that. I don't have any experience with the Rammy, but like a P01 or P07 or something, I'd be maybe more inclined for something like that. All of which are very good guns. I mean, I don't think you can go wrong one way or the other. But to your point a little bit, I mean, there's just nothing out there that's really exciting. We talked about this a little bit on I had kind of a solo chat last night for a few minutes, and some people brought up some good things. I mean, we've seen the PX4 Storm come up several times, and I may look into that. I've told them that I haven't really been jazzed about it, but I just don't know. There just isn't anything altogether that exciting for me right now. I mean, some people have said PPQ subcompact. I don't think I'm going to go down that road. There's nothing wrong with the PPQ. It's a fine gun, but I've done the PPQ, and the subcompact is basically a shaved down PPQ. There isn't a whole lot of difference there. So it's not exciting.
Yeah. As far as Jim's question, with the CZ Rammy or the P320X for carry, I honestly would take the 320 also. Not that there's anything wrong with the CZ Rammy. It's just so tiny. Now, if you put the extended mag in it, it is definitely better. And I think it would be a fine gun for someone that could, really hang on to it. But it is a very small gun. And I've, had the 320. I liked it, had no problems with it. It was just prior to the trigger upgrade. And I just wasn't fond of the new trigger. So that's just my personal preference. And that was prior to Apex coming out with a new one for the upgraded trigger. After the change, but it is what it is. Okay, Hunts for Food wants to talk about the new Sega. I ran into this Sega at a gun store. They had the 7.62 and the 308 version, and I was walking around with both of them for a while. Never had an AK before. I've shot them. I've never personally owned one. This is the Sporter Edition, and we're going to take a look and see what it might be to change it out into a different configuration, a true AK configuration. Excited to own it, and that's kind of what's going on with that now. I don't really want to overpower the chat with that, but excited to own it. So we'll see where we go from there.
That's cool.
But yeah, and what you were saying on the PPQ, nothing wrong with the factory trigger. It did have a lot of take up, but it's a very super nice factory trigger. But I tell you what, once I put the Apex trigger in it, wow. That thing, it really woke that gun up. It took every bit of the slack out. I mean, literally, there's really no take up. You hit the wall and boom, it's ready to go. And the reset's awesome. So if you own a PPQ, just by putting the, and of course, I've got a video that I just released on shooting it. But that trigger, that Apex trigger did a great job on that pistol. So I was very, very surprised that you could even make it better, but it did.
Yeah. Big Al was saying, send another nasty email to Brownells about my SIG 365 that has become a myth as to delivery. That's really too bad, Al. And I've heard more and more stories about that. And I'm kind of wondering what's going on at Sig Sauer. I mean, I feel like they've got some great ideas and/or some great products that are out there. Although they've had a couple of misses as well lately. And I don't understand what their strategy is for all of this. I mean, the P365. I think is a very good gun, but they're sort of sitting on it. They're not pumping them out. Smith and Wesson or Glock or some of these other, and Sig is every bit as big as those guys. They can certainly churn out guns, a lot of guns if they want to. And I know they're doing the military stuff, but when Smith and Wesson comes out with a new gun, when Glock comes out with a new gun, some of these different manufacturers, they cover everything everywhere pretty quickly, and it's not long before you can get your hands on your gun. I mean, sometimes you might wait a little while, but it's weeks, it's not months. So it's remarkable that people are waiting so long.
Yeah, I agree. Range Randy has a question. Anybody interested in the SIG M17 when it becomes available?
The M17?
With the safety.
I don't know. If you've got a P320, it's a P320. I guess it's kind of the same argument as the Glock 19X, except the Glock 19X wasn't really the military version. I mean, it's cool. It's a neat gun. But the M17, I mean, if that's the identical model as the military uses, there will be collectors and people that will definitely go for it. No doubt about that. But at the end of the day, it's a P320 with the safety. To me, there's no interest there whatsoever.
Yeah, myself either. Yeah, I'm not interested in it.
Before we lose this real quick, if you don't mind, Big Daddy, because he posed the question on my Facebook page before, but he's saying to anyone, he's kind of opening this up, APX $425 with the 5 free mags, which is pretty stellar. That's 7 mags total, right? Or the M&P 2.0 compact, which is $399. So I may be behind on the questions a little bit, but he was curious about that. And I think that's a great question. I mean, I said they're both fantastic guns. I don't think you can go wrong with either one. If size isn't an issue, he did say that size is not an issue. So it's not about carry or anything like that. I mean, it's just a gun for a gun. That APX for that price with that many mags, that's tough to pass up.
Yeah, and I've put my hands on it many times, but they always have, like, I guess in the store, it's either the medium or the small backstrap when it comes from the factory, and it just seems, of course, with my hands, but it just seems really top heavy, like it's not enough grip for me. But if I was able to put on the large backstrap, I kind of like the slide. Trigger's okay, and I haven't personally shot it, but I know that yourself, Poe, all the guys said it was an awesome pistol, so I'll take your word for it. Yeah, that's a phenomenal deal. I mean, I would say either one of them are probably going to be quality firearms.
Right. Yeah. And I thought it was a very good gun. In fact, it was pleasantly surprising. And Big Daddy, I don't know if you watched my video. You're welcome to if you ever want to. But that was a lot of fun to make because I was so surprised at how much I liked it. I walked past it a lot of times. There was one at Centerfire that kind of sat there for a while. But I finally decided to jump in, and it was just pleasantly surprising. It felt good in the hand. It's kind of a big gun. It's a little bit chunky, but it was a good shooter. You can change that grip out, and it's really not that hard to do. So if you want to throw an FDE or I think it's a gray one on there, or even an OD green one on there, and just kind of mix things up a little bit, you can. It's not hard. There are videos out there for now. Hopefully they'll be out there. I think Mr. Guns and Gear has one that was really easy to follow. So that's a great gun. But the 2.0 compact is a phenomenal gun as well. I mean, they're great shooters. You can definitely carry that. The APX you can carry, but it's a little bit bigger gun. So a couple of things to consider on that. But either way, I think you'd be doing really well.
Yeah, I think they're both fine guns. Let's see here. Oh, we missed a question. Oh, well, yeah, Big Daddy, he was talking about the PCR, every bit as good as the P01 without the rail. Yeah, they're basically the same type of pistol. And, the P01, you're able to get the Omega trigger if you can find it. But if not, you can change it to an 85 combat on both of them. So whichever you're in the mood for. And yeah, Jeff, and I know this has been brought up. Jeff England is saying he wished CZ had better distribution. And I know that there's been a huge demand for them. They are hard to grab, and trust me, since I do a lot of CZs, I have people ask me all the time, "Where the hell can I go buy this right now?" And I'm like, "Good luck." I mean, they're hard to find at some places.
Yeah, like the TSO. I mean, that's trying to find something like that's a mythical bird right
Yeah.
there, unfortunately. So I had a question real quick from in all seriousness 88. He was saying, just keep doing the if I could only have once, which is great. I'm going to run out of guns here pretty soon.
Yeah.
I've done most of them, although I do have a couple on the way. So I'm glad the X5 is back. Hint, hint. But do you still have the blue SIG? I do not. The Legion 229 took its place. Although that enhanced elite blue titanium SIG was pretty cool looking. It was a beautiful gun. It was a great gun. I just like the Legion. I'm sort of a sucker for that. There's no reason to have it, but I just kind of like it.
Yeah, in all seriousness, 88 also has another question. Will a PO9 take an RMR? And yes, it will. There's a lot of people, modern weapon system is doing RMRs for PO9s. There's multiple companies doing, and they'll take the Trigicon, they'll take the Leopold, they'll take, Vortex. There's a lot of them now. On one of the Vortexes, if you choose to do the longer one, you will lose your rear sight. But yeah, there's tons of people doing them. So
yeah. Big Al's asking, could trigger upgrades be far behind gun regulations? I think you probably, I'm assuming you mean, could we start to see some regulations on things like trigger upgrades and that sort of thing? Well, I'll tell you what, I hope not, if it doesn't change the function of the gun. And I'm hoping that's, if they have to come out with some regulations, and I'm not in favor of that, but if they do, if it's something that changes the function of the gun, in other words, if it makes it fully semi-automatic, if you know what I mean, then okay, that's one thing. That's a different discussion because it changes what the factory or the manufacturer's intended purpose of that gun was.
yeah.
But when we're talking about throwing in an Apex or an Overwatch or whatever it happens to be into a firearm, and it's still the same gun, it still does the same thing, one bullet per trigger press. To me, what's that regulation going to do? Is that going to stop crime? Is that going to do anything whatsoever? Is that going to move us forward as a nation in trying to curb some of these issues that we have? Absolutely not.
Right. And, I even know police officers, and of course they carry Glocks, but I know tons of police officers that have, the ghost connectors in their carry guns, for the police department. They allow it in certain police departments, not every one, I'm sure, but they even have not the actual trigger, but the connector. So, and they have them in theirs. So, I don't know. That's going to be a hard one because ultimately you still have to pull the trigger every single time. So
that's exactly right.
It's not like you're putting a BS stock on a pistol or anything. So
well, that's exactly right. I totally agree with that. Hey, Dave Gass has a good question for everybody. Does a gun like a Legion or a Shadow or Dan Weston, so we're talking upper tier guns, right? Make a new shooter better shooter than a Glock or a gun like a VP9 or an M&P 2.0 or a Glock or whatever it happens to be? That's a phenomenal question. What do you think?
I would say yes, because, and here's where I'm going to go with this. The Shadow, the Legion, some of those guns are heavier. Okay, so therefore they're going to absorb the recoil better than potentially like an all polymer pistol. So, as long as you have the same sight acquisition on both pistols, I would say yes, they are going to increase, the performance of that pistol and allow you to shoot it a little more accurately. Now, is that for every average Joe Bob out of the box? Probably not. But I think if you have a brand new shooter coming into it with a heavier pistol, they're going to appreciate less recoil than just handing them a small little polymer pistol and them feeling all of the recoil.
Interesting. I may take that a different direction, although I agree to a point with where you're going, because I think a lot of us have shot with a new shooter at one time or another, and we find oftentimes that a new shooter starts out really high at first because they don't really know what to expect, and they haven't developed any bad habits, right? They don't have any habits at all. So, if they've got somebody standing behind them and helping them, or a trainer or whatever with some good basic techniques to get them started, they're probably going to start out and they're going to shoot reasonably well. And that'll rock it down pretty quick. And then you start from the bottom and work your way back up with training and practice and all that kind of stuff, time spent, right?
Yeah.
But for me, a gun is a gun is a gun is a gun to a point. And obviously I'm speaking in generalities, and there are caveats to that, of course. But to me, taking a VP9 or a Glock 19 or a Smith & Wesson 9C or something like that versus a Shadow, yeah, they're dramatically different guns, but the fundamentals largely are the same. You still have to put, you line your sights and put your sights on the target and pull the trigger without moving the gun around entirely too much, which can still happen on even a Shadow 2, even with how heavy it is. So I think, is buying a much better gun going to make you really better? In the short term, maybe a little bit at first, and then when you start developing some habits, probably not. So for new shooters, in my opinion, unless money is no object, buying a $1,500 gun or $1,000 gun or a $3,000 gun may not be the best route to take unless that's just what you want to do.
Yeah, well, and that's why I said as long as you have the same target acquisition, meaning as long as you can, line up the sights on one gun versus the other, it could help with absorbing the recoil. And like my kiddo, when she was really young, started her out on some polymer pistols, etc. And I, kind of got her the basics down. But then when I would put a heavier pistol in her hand, I actually could see what she could do. And it was actually pretty impressive. So I was like, wow. And then I would take the steel gun away or the heavier gun and go with the other one. She would still shoot great, but the groups weren't quite as tight. And it was comparing on the exact same day of shooting. So I kind of did this little test with her, and I could tell a big difference. But she's been shooting a lot. So, but this is when she was first starting out too. So
yeah, that's true.
Oh, well, Pistol Pete, yeah, he's actually got a really great comment. The CZ does not come with a coin. Like the Legion.
That's true. So it's not as good.
Not as good. So
hang on.
Uh-oh.
This means that I've got a really cool gun.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
You know what? That is super gimmicky. I mean, I put it on the counter. I like display things, but the challenge coin does absolutely for you.
I've got many of those in golf too. So
right.
Yeah. Let's see here. I think it's more premium, but it's still for okay.
Oh, Kevin had a good thought. Kevin Roberts is saying, I think everyone should learn how to shoot on a double action, single action, or even a revolver so they can learn how to manipulate correctly and then move to something like a PPQ. And I think that's a great thought. Doing something with a heavier trigger and working on trigger manipulation and building up some muscles and some muscle memory is a great thing to do for sure. I mean, some of you guys saw that car S9 video that I did, and that was some just god awful shooting right there. And I think a lot of it is because I don't have the practice with the double action triggers like I do with the striker fires and that sort of thing. And I think that's a great way to look at it.
Well, like I've always said, a lot of people are like, why do you shoot double action, single action? There's great striker fires, and a striker fire is kind of a striker fire. There's not a whole bunch of difference other than maybe angle or a little bit better striker fire trigger, but you're getting that constant trigger all the time. And that's why I also like to, I think that it kind of gives me a little more trigger training to have a double action, single action also. Now, yeah, you go all the way down to a standard double action revolver and, you're getting into a new ball game. So, I can understand. I want to be, able to shoot all of them, especially that are in my collection. So,
right.
I think it's great to have a little trigger discipline with all that you're going to carry.
Well, that's absolutely true. Tundra is saying, I think the best way to explain it is on an equal skill level, the gear can have a positive effect on the result. It will not help you develop the skill any faster. And that is brilliant. And to his point, Mark Homiak was saying, I'm a skier. Race skis hinder a beginner's progression. I mean, yeah, no, it's exactly right. You've got to develop those fundamentals. And if you happen to be developing the fundamentals on a $3,000 gun, more power to you for sure. But yeah, to me, better gear doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be better right away. You still have to have the fundamentals. You just do.
Yeah, and Dennis Jones has a question. He said, his Smith & Wesson 22 has been at Smith & Wesson support for nearly 2 weeks. What kind of experience with their customer service have you experienced? Have you ever had to send one in?
I have one time, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know, you speak to a real person; they're pretty knowledgeable, they're friendly. I've not had a problem, nor have I ever really heard of anybody having a really bad experience with.
Well, I think I know where he's going with this, and he said Smith and Wesson 22. So I want to know if it's these 22 compact or the 22 full size. Because if it's a 22 full size, that one was made imported by Walther for Smith and Wesson, and that has to be sent back to Walther from Smith and Wesson. So if it's the 22 compact, Smith and Wesson actually makes that there, and they cover it. So because I ran into this exact same thing when I had my full size 22, and it was a Walther version, and they had to send it to Walther, and it was this big long deal. So I'm wondering if it was the full size. So if you'll answer us, Dennis, probably going to be the full size.
Interesting.
So let's see. Oh, got Bad Billy. Appreciate you. Have you ever, and I've been asked this too. Have you ever done any archery?
I never have. I really want to. That is on the bucket list, but no, I have no experience with archery.
Yeah, I've had a compound bow. It wasn't super, super high dollar, and I bought it with all these great intentions and went out and shot it like 5 times and ended up selling it. What I really kind of like is the longbow. I think that's pretty cool, but I've shot hay bales with it and stuff like that, but I am not a full blown archery person or bow hunter, claim to be. So,
Right.
but I have been asked that a lot. So I was just curious if you had been too.
Yeah.
Okay. No, this is a good question. Mule Kicker, 1919. Do you think the P07 is better than the Smith & Wesson Compact?
I'm assuming we're talking about the M&P 2.0 compact.
I would assume that too.
They're different animals a little bit because you've got double action, single action versus striker fired. I lean towards the Smith & Wesson all day long because I'm used to that platform. I'm used to that format, and I kind of cut my teeth on Glock 19s. And the Smith & Wesson is equally good, if not better, than a Glock 19. Don't tell 1776 I said that. But the P07 is also a tremendous gun, and it still fits in that same compact box. And the ergos are there. I mean, it's a solid gun for sure. I lean towards the Smith.
Okay, and that's where you and I are going to differ. I've shot the 22 the 2.0 compact, and trust me, I have Smith and Wessons and striker fires, and I like them. However, with the P07, in the single action, you actually even get a better and lighter trigger. It's 3 pounds 8 ounces, but also you have the double strike capability. If something were to go bad and that round didn't go off, you could just pull the trigger again. You don't even have to rack it. So, and it's easily concealable. It's easily carried. And with the Omega trigger, I think it's a fantastic trigger. So I would go P07 on that one.
Yeah. And that's why, that's so great. And you always talk about 33 or 31 flavors or whatever.
Yeah.
It's great to have those choices. And I think a lot of it comes down to that double action, single action versus striker. I mean, that's the key difference between the two, really. So,
and, even on the P07, I've been asked this, and I'm sure you have too. On the P07, a lot of people just pull it one time in the store and they're like, oh, it's got a little grit or it feels kind of plasticky. You put about 300 rounds through that thing and it's butter. I mean, it just kind of smooths itself in. And I actually even really like the stock trigger in the P07. You could do springs and kits and things like that to make it even better, but I really don't. There's nothing to dislike on a stock P07 or P09 trigger to me personally.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I never saw. Did you ever see? Was it Jim Gregory? I guess maybe he's talking about a revolver. If that's what he was talking about.
Oh, like a 22 revolver?
I'm trying to remember if that was him. Wasn't it Jim Gregory who said that?
I thought so.
Yeah, he said revolver.
Well, some of those revolvers had some issues, some of the airweight ones, and people were saying because they were not steel cylinders, they were, I don't know, aluminum cylinders or something like that. As they would heat up and you'd keep shooting, after a while, the spent casings would stick in there and they wouldn't come out. You'd have to kind of pry them out. So you'd have to put the gun down and let it cool for a little while and then start shooting again. So I know they had some issues with that.
Okay. CW Hunter has a really good question. Is the Performance Center shield worth it, or should he stick with the standard?
It depends on what you're after. Do you want a ported barrel or not? For me, that's a huge consideration. I love the ported barrel. They are entertaining and fun and all sorts of things. For carry, I don't consider them very practical. That's certainly a personal opinion. Other people differ with that, but I prefer the standard shield, or really the 2.0 would be the direction I'd go.
Yeah.
But that Performance Center, those triggers are amazing, and they're decked out. They're good looking guns.
Yeah, I have shot both of them. I've shot my standard Shield 1.0 against the performance one. And honestly, and now I've got big old gorilla hands, so I really couldn't tell the difference, as far as muzzle and, flip, so to say. I couldn't tell the difference at all. The only thing that I look at is if I were to carry a ported gun. I mean, I won't carry a ported gun, and only for one reason. I'm not worried about muzzle flash and all this other stuff. But if my wife or another person were in the passenger seat and someone breaking in that door and I had to pull the gun and shoot through that door or shoot through that glass, I don't want any of the carbon or any of the flash going in that passenger's eyes. That's my only consideration. And if you want to carry it, by all means, carry it. There's tons of people who do. But that's just my opinion. I don't really think it's all that great on that small and only a 9mm caliber. If you were talking about a 454 Casull or something crazy like that, yeah, I mean, it could definitely help, but.
Right. And I don't know if you had a chance to actually shoot both of them. I noticed when I shot, I had a Performance Center shield for a brief while, and it was a lot of fun. One thing I noticed, the percussion, even at the range, and you guys know I shoot at an indoor range, so it's obviously going to be a little bit louder there to begin with. And you got those metal sidings and everything, so it captures a lot of noise. And the amount of percussion out of that tiny, tiny little gun was almost overwhelming a little bit, especially the first couple of times. I mean, it takes you by surprise. So I apply that a little bit also to a self-defense situation. You want to give yourself every advantage you possibly can and not have anything that could potentially inhibit you or take you by surprise or anything to distract you from getting the job done.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, hell, I guess Bad Billy's throwing axes. That'd be pretty cool. I've only seen that on TV. I've just taken a little hatchet and chunked it into a little, like a tree, but that was just me goofing around. But those guys who like professionally throw axes, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt.
So that and all the chainsaw, where they do all that chainsaw cutting, that's pretty awesome too. Let's see here.
Tundra is saying they're not allowed on the internet. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we can't have opinions. Yeah. Well, Mule Cooker's asking about Sega. Yeah, I just figured I would jump on that Sega. So kind of can't. And I've had SKSs in the past. I had 2 Russian SKSs, and I was an idiot and got rid of them. But this thing's actually lighter than an SKS, and I figured it would last very long, and we're just going to see where I can go with it. So that's kind of the deal on that. Okay. Kevin's going to give us longbow pointers. I guess I think I remember him saying that he was a longbow shooter.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. I've never done it before. Yeah, you're welcome, CW. And and also, I guess he has another question. He's deciding on the 45 or the 9mm for the shield. So if you had to pick the shield 9mm or the 45, or what's your pros and cons on both?
I don't know, man. I think they're both great. That shield 45 for such a small 45, you would think, like a lot of very small 45s, that it'd be super snappy and just not a lot of fun to shoot. But for whatever reason, the Shield 45 really handles it very well. And I've owned one. I carried one for, I don't know, probably 8 months or 10 months. And it was a lot of fun to shoot. It was on one of my very first videos on the channel. Don't go back and watch it. It's not worth it. But it was, I mean, it was a very good gun. I lean towards the 9 because I can get a couple more rounds in it, and it does the job for me just fine. But that 45 is fantastic.
Yeah, and that was the first introduction to the official 2.0, and they did a fantastic job with it. I own both. I've got the 45 and the 9 Shield, and I love them. I think they're great pistols. So it's just going to come down to which caliber, if you want to carry 230 grains of hate, or if you want to carry a 9mm. So it's completely up to what you feel comfortable carrying.
Yeah. Hey, Logan's had asked a question a couple of times now. Smith & Wesson, revolver or striker fire? And sticking with Smith & Wesson. So what do you think? Would you go with a revolver or striker fire?
Well, I mean, I own striker fires. If you're looking at a really good revolver, Smith & Wesson and Ruger make fantastic revolvers, and they have forever. And I mean, I own Smith & Wesson revolvers. They're the older classic ones, 357, 38s specials. And I mean, they're phenomenal. They're mine that I own are not the newer editions. And I have yet to ever have a problem with them. Now, granted, I don't shoot them very much, but they have been shot a lot in the past. I would say it comes down, if it were me today, I would go striker fire, just personally, just today.
Yeah, and I probably would too. Again, it's just based upon what I typically shoot today. I'm used to the striker fired format that works well. But like Big Johnson said, Smith & Wesson revolvers are world renowned. They are top quality revolvers. And they're a little expensive, although not nearly as expensive as some out there on the market. But generally speaking, you're going to get a good quality revolver. I had a J-frame many years ago, and I didn't give it its due. I shot it for a while, and I ended up selling it for something else. I mean, we do that, obviously, from time to time. But it was a great gun. And I've said before, I said it last night, and I've said it on a couple of our chats here, I'm looking for a revolver at some point in time. I would like to do a revolver. I don't know what it's going to be yet. I've looked at some Rugers, but Smith & Wesson probably will be where I end up. Now, Bald, he's got a 9mm Smith & Wesson that's just beautiful, yeah. And that's been pretty inspiring to me. And I'd have to figure out how I could do that, but that might be the way to go, because that thing is badass.
Yeah, and I can't remember the name of it. Is it an R8? The Smith & Wesson R8 revolver, maybe? I can't remember. I think it's a 357, but it's like the tactical ported performance one, and it really looks awesome. Yeah. I think it's a great pistol. And what's really underrated with Smith & Wesson are their Performance Center 1911s. They don't really ever get any love, but they're a great 1911. I have yet to ever seen a performance version 1911 Smith & Wesson fail. And I've got friends who own them, and they shoot them quite a bit.
Right. And Nolan's had a great time with his revolver as well. Those have been a lot of fun videos to watch. And every time I see revolvers like that, I get a little bit jealous, because I'm like, man, I really want to do that. I'm a little timid about that too, though, because again, I'm so ingrained in semi-automatic handguns that it'll be a little bit of a transition, but I'm willing to try. Now, Hunts was saying that he's told Ruger revolvers are better these days. True or false? Now, I don't know if that means you're just saying that as a general rule. Are they making better ones than they did in the past? I understand that they're good. They're good revolvers. A lot of people swear by them. Those LCRs. They're very good. Now, I've heard that the 9mm sometimes gets a little bit finicky because of the casings, but otherwise, I've heard they're really good guns.
Yeah, and I've never owned a Ruger revolver, but I know plenty of people who have them. I mean, Harry has one. Other people have them, and from what I understand, I think Insight has one too, and I don't think they've had any issues with them that I've heard about.
Oh, he was saying better than Smith & Wesson.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like I said, they very well could be now. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm not a revolver expert. From what I understand, I mean, Smith & Wesson makes just awesome revolvers, and they always have. They're pretty consistent. But I just don't know. That's going to take some research. I don't know.
Yeah. Mil-Spec guy is saying selling guns ? Never heard of it. I have seen the Mil-Spec guy. He's pretty young. He's not our age, or definitely not my age. You know, I've fell out of love with some guns, and you know, I mean, I have plenty of guns, but you know, sometimes they got to go. So, and I don't make a habit out of it, but I have gotten rid of some.
Yeah, I've got rid of a few as well.
Yes, it was the R8, so I was right on that revolver. That thing is awesome, and I know that Glock 17 has one, and I've seen his videos, and it's just a sweet looking revolver.
Let's see. Jim Gregory is saying Smith and Wesson 686 Tallow. Now, is the 686 though? Isn't that's a 38 357, isn't it? Or is that the 9 millimeter? Bald, you got to jump in and help me out here. Which one is yours? Is yours like the 9 something? I thought. I can't keep all those numbers.
Yeah, I was gonna say trying to keep up with those numbers. Hell, I don't know.
I just don't know enough. Yeah, the Ruger GP 100 music lover. Those. I mean, those are very well known and highly regarded.
Yeah. Let's see here. Big L says Glocks are just poor performing revolvers.
Music says stainless or blued revolver.
Man, there's just something about stainless. Now I have blued, but there's just something about a stainless. They're just, you know, it reminds me, especially if you get into the cowboy action, there's just nothing like an awesome cowboy action looking stainless revolver.
Yeah, I would 100% go stainless.
Yeah.
Without question.
Yeah. Like I said, I think they're, you know, I think either way, you know, they're fun, but, or it could be fun, but, you know.
There it is, 929. Thank you, Baldy. Appreciate it. Yeah, that may end up being the one. I mean, I've watched your video probably 6 or 7 times now. I mean, those revolvers are beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, Big Al's just saying plastic is plastic. So I guess he's talking about Glocks, but hell, there's a lot of polymer pistols that are great pistols. So, and if the Glock works for whomever, shit, use it, you know?
Yep.
What, if you were, okay, let's say we're going to break this down, or I'm going to break this down for you. This is a question and other people can participate in this, but if you could only have one rifle, one shotgun, and one pistol, what would they be?
God, geez, you're putting me in a box, man.
I'm hammering you.
Yeah, you are.
And you can just, you know, it doesn't have to be a specific brand. You can just say caliber or whatever.
Yeah, no. So let's really go specific. Let's really do.
Well, I was meaning like if you choose a rifle, because
right.
I figured where you're going to go.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, if I can't have anything else, I mean, if I really, if that's
only one rifle, one shotgun, and one pistol.
I'd probably have to go the Glock 19 for a pistol. I know that's weak these days, but just I probably would. From a practicality standpoint, believe it or not, although I love Benelli's and I've been shooting Benelli's a long time, used to compete with Benelli shotguns. I'd probably do a Remington 870 for a shotgun, just a standard pump action Remington 870. Those are great old guns. I've got one that's just beat to snot, and I love it. And then for rifles, I don't know. I mean, some sort of 223 5.56.
That's why I was meaning caliber on that one, because I figured you would say.
If I had a choice, though, I would probably, if I could do it and then budget wasn't an option, I'd probably do like a Tavor, because I think those are freaking cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, I would do, of course, you know, 223 5.56, so it'd be an AR platform. And then I would go 590A1 because I just love the Mossberg setup with the safety on the top versus the 870 push. That safety bugs the hell out of me down there. And then pistol. And I'm assuming that I'd probably, you know, I didn't say this, but I'm assuming I'd have to be carrying it all the time. I would probably go P09. I would say Shadow 2, but, you know, I guess if I could only choose one, it would probably be the P09 version.
Yeah.
So, and we've got some really good comments. Nolan said AR 590A1 and 2.0 compact, and wow, he's a big Glock guy, or used to be. So that's a lot there. Bad Billy's saying, ooh, Bad Billy. Okay. He has said P07. and he hasn't had that P07 all that long. So he said P07 AR-15, 16.5-inch semi-Benelli.
Nice.
Daniel Defense AR-15, Glock 17, and an 870. Yeah, I knew that wasn't going to be an easy question. So, and this is the kind of questions that I get asked all the time, and I'm sure maybe you do too. Most of them, if you're looking at rifle, most people are choosing AR-15, and that only makes sense. Damn, Logan's pulling out the Steyr M9A1 for his pistol.
Nice. Scotsman's got the 44 mag revolver. My friend, I appreciate you for that. And the lever action 12 gauge Wingmaster. Well done, my friend. Well done.
Yeah, I know 1776 is on, and he's saying AK 590A1 and G17. So. Yeah, there's a lot of people are picking some M16A1 from Range Randy, so he's picking some good stuff.
Mark's got the Weatherby Fiber Mark 270, Mossberg 590 20 gauge, and a Shadow 2. Very nice.
Yeah, Mil-Spec guy is picking a 308 for his long gun. That's awesome. AR pistol, so he's going a little, and then he said Taurus Judge 410. Does that count? So. Yeah, hell, I guess, you can pick whatever you want.
Yeah, Kevin is telling me I need to get a Ruger 480 for pocket carry. So I am looking this up right now. This will be my next pocket carry gun.
Okay, well, Mateo claimed the Steyr L40, 590 and AR.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's, that's the good thing. I mean, there's so many different choices and people can pick which they prefer. I mean, I think that's the great thing about, the offerings that we have now. Back in the day, they could only choose a couple things, but, now they've got, and what's funny is if we would have done this poll back in the day, it probably would have been a 10 gauge, shotgun, and it would have been like a Colt 45, and a rifle would have probably been a, 243, 270, 8mm. It probably would have been something totally different. We would have done this about 40 years ago.
Uncharted Trucker is late, so I'm going to call attention to him real quick. He's asking what the hell we're talking about. Trucker, that's what you get for being late.
Yeah.
So you get 3 guns. You get a rifle, you get a shotgun, you get a pistol. Go. So I'll let you think about that for a second. Hunts for food, Kimber revolver. Hunts, I've seen a Kimber revolver. Centerfire's had a couple. They're very pretty guns. Yeah, I said pretty. I don't generally say pretty guns, but they are good looking guns. I didn't think it felt very good in the hand though. And that's from a non-revolver guy. I could be totally wrong, but it just felt a little bizarre to me, where some of the other revolvers that I've held, including like GP100s and some of the Smith & Wessons, they just felt a little bit better in hand. I know so little about them. I could be just way off on that.
Yeah. It's, let's see here. Dave Gass can only use a slingshot and some pepper spray. So that's what he's picking. Get you a little, you could probably have a little, 3-inch frog poker too. So, but, yeah, it's just a great thing that we can pick what the hell we want to pick.
Yeah.
So, we're getting close. What do you have coming up on the channel? Anything exciting? Any videos you want to kind of talk about that are coming up, or is it all secretive?
No, it's not secretive. The Scorpion video will be coming up, not this weekend, but probably next weekend. This is a bye weekend for me.
There you
go. So just taking it easy and doing some filming, just trying to catch up a little bit. But now that the X5 is back, there will be an If I Could Only Have One between the X5 and the Shadow 2. So I'm excited for that, and I'll get a lot of hate on that because they're very different, but nobody tends to pay attention to the rules. So it is what it is. Man, I've got a couple of other things like that coming up. Beyond that, again, because I'm sort of running out of guns that are fascinating to me, aside from, again, Bald, I may have to hit you up if you're still out there at some point and talk about your revolver. But I'm kind of running out of things right now. Music Lover, any Naked Gun videos?
Yeah. She's got you pegged.
Nobody wants to see that stuff. I promise you, nobody wants to see that stuff.
I know I don't. I'll make sure you've got to alert us, and I will watch them.
No subcompact gun references, please. But yeah, nothing like that. That's it. That's all that's coming up for now. Other than that, I have no idea.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take bets. We're going to actually take bets in this chat about which one is it going to be. Is it going to be the SIG X carry, or is it going to be the Shadow 2 for the win? And y'all can all sound off. Mateo, he's saying Shadow 2 better win.
I have no idea.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, guys, I'm going to give you guys a behind the scenes. And Big Johnson, we've talked about this a couple of times. A lot of times when I do, if I can only have ones, because generally speaking, they're both my guns, and I like them both, and I'm invested in both of them. And some people don't really understand that. But when I walk into a lot of these videos, I truly have no idea who the winner is. And sometimes it's a spot choice after I kind of sit back and I analyze and really say to myself, okay, you can only have one. Which one would it be?
Yeah.
God, there are times where I've put videos out there and I have since disagreed with what I've said.
Yeah,
so,
well, that can happen. Hell, everybody can change their mind.
Yeah.
Frank's wondering if I'm going to put out any more drunk mag videos like I did today for Inside Freedom's giveaway. Yeah, that was just having a good time. We can't keep everything serious. We got to joke around, and that's all that was. It was just having fun. Inside Freedom said he wanted to see something crazy and funny, and I was just goofing around. But man, I'll tell you what, so far there's only one person that's picked the X carry. Everybody's going S2.
Logan and I are going to hang out later because he's awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say, hey, you got Shooting with Uncle Dan on. Hello, Gun Nation.
Hey, Uncle Dan.
Yeah, and I've got some more goodies coming. So picked up some other stuff today, matter of fact. So got some fun stuff. But and I've got some stuff being sent in that I will be going through. So videos to come, we'll stretch them out a little bit, have a good time with them. And, again, I appreciate everybody being on the chat. I mean, this is great. We've had got 62 watching now. And like I always say, everyone in the chat, please go subscribe to other channels. There's great other, creators on here, great people to interact with. We just have a great group. And that's what's so great about this YouTube community that we have. It's kind of like a brotherhood. So it's definitely appreciated. And we appreciate the thumbs up and appreciate y'all turning into the Three Guys Gun Chat, even though one is on hiatus today. But he will be back, and he's missed. He's one of our brothers. So, but we appreciate y'all so much. And if you have any questions, please leave them below, and we will answer them directly. And just so you all know, on the Three Guys Gun Chat, we all answer. So KS will come over, 1776 will come over, and we leave opinions on each other's chats. So that's what we do to help each other out. So
kind of, sort of. I'm not as good about that as you guys.
I know you suck.
I do.
But, yeah. But anyway, we appreciate y'all so much. Definitely. I think it's 17's next week since I filled in for him. So, but be next Wednesday, and please tune in. So we appreciate y'all so much. Any final words, KS?
No, thank you guys all. This is always a blast. We look forward to Wednesdays, and you guys are amazing. What a great community and something to be very proud of. So we appreciate you guys. NC, I have your address. I'll send you some ammo. So.
No, you said it was all coming to me. So NC's not getting any. You said I get it all.
Well, here's the thing. That ammo is kind of expensive, so there's not going to be as much as you think. Like,
yeah, I know.
$1,000 worth of federal premium, you get like almost 5,000 rounds. This is not much.
Oh, I do want to say one thing real quick. Bald and Curious is having this Friday. He is having his three gun chat. So 8 o'clock, and please tune in, and he'll send an alert out for everyone to check it out. So
heck yeah,
we support each other. So we appreciate y'all so much. Please have a great night. Be safe, and remember, always carry on.
Heck yeah, and Kevin, I'll be ankle carrying that. Bye, guys.
Take care, everyone. Later.